answer. Well, I'd like to welcome you all here, Mr. Vice President, Senator Wofford, Mr. Fleming, distinguished guests. I'm honored to be speaking to you today on behalf of the 62,000 community retail pharmacies across America. For the past year, neighborhood drugstores have been working together on your behalf for the Community Pharmacy Healthcare Coalition. I want you to know that our coalition fully supports the President and the Vice President in their efforts to see that every American has private health insurance that cannot be taken away from them. President Clinton has recognized from the outset that any health care plan that does not include prescriptions or pharmacy service is not in the best interest of this country. 3 out of 5 visits, as you know, to a doctor result in a prescription. 112,000 community pharmacists who fill these prescriptions are clearly the most accessible and trusted healthcare professionals the American public has today. Community pharmacists dispense more than just prescriptions. They provide advice on pharmacy medication and personal counseling on a variety of healthcare matters. For example, in the CVS pharmacy we just came from across the street, I have to give that a plug, I'm the president of CVS Pharmacy. There's a pharmacist available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Scott Glenn, Scott, has your hand there? Scott Glenn and the pharmacists who work with him take care of the prescriptions and healthcare needs for 2,000 people every week. And I can tell you, as president of CVS, I receive hundreds of phone calls, hundreds of letters every week just complimenting our pharmacists on the job they do of taking care of the public. This type of quality health care is a daily occurrence in pharmacies throughout our country. As a pharmacist myself, I am proud of the role my profession plays in the healthcare system. For many older Americans, prescription drugs are essential to a healthy and productive life. Medicare recipients deserve and need a prescription benefit. A recent study by our coalition has found that half of the cost of providing Medicare prescription benefit, half, will be offset by decreases in other Medicare expenses, such as surgery and hospitalization. And who wouldn't choose prescription drug therapy over hospitalization or surgery? We should all stand with President Clinton as he seeks to introduce pharmacy coverage as part of his healthcare reform. His plan is the only one that provides this benefit, as well as a guarantee for you to choose your doctor and pharmacist. President Clinton is fighting for a prescription drug benefit program for everyone, including those in Medicare. And believe me, it is affordable. There are some people, including some pharmaceutical manufacturers, who think that drugs should be covered under Medicare. However, they think you should give up your right to pick your own pharmacy or doctor. These are the same manufacturers who charge community drugstores nearly 5 times more for certain drugs than they charge hospitals for managed care. We just cannot let this continue. We ask you to support the President's efforts to expand coverage for prescription drugs and the right to choose your pharmacist and doctor. The President's health care plan respects your relationship that you've established with your pharmacist. Mr. Vice President, we appreciate what you and the administration are doing. The time has come for our country to step up to the plate. We applaud and strongly support your efforts and leadership to bring guaranteed comprehensive health insurance to every American that no one can take away. The community pharmacists of this country are proud to be counted among your supporters. Thank you. Now it is my pleasure to introduce Arthur Fleming. Arthur has a bio that you can't believe. He's a tireless crusader who served 8 presidents, both Democratic and Republican. He is a recipient of the Presidential Medal of Freedom, and he continues to fight for meaningful health care reform as the co-chairman of Save Our Security. Please welcome Arthur Fleming.
I am honored to be here today with the Vice President because I believe, as a person who has worked for many years with older persons, that we have a President and a First Lady and a Vice President and his wife who really care for older persons. Just a few weeks ago, I was invited, along with about 12 other leaders of aging organizations, to meet with the President and to talk with him and he with us about a national health plan. As I participated in that meeting, I realized that I was in the presence of a president who was conducting a great crusade for universal coverage of health care. But I also realized that I was in the presence of a president who, within that particular crusade, is carrying on one of the most vigorous crusades I have witnessed in behalf of Medicare. And as I listened to the President, as I said afterwards to the press, I realized that I had the honor of participating in a crusade similar to the crusade that I witnessed in 1934. I was a reporter for the U.S. News and for what was the predecessor to the U.S. News and World Report. And I witnessed and participated in Franklin Roosevelt's crusade for Social Security. Today, we are witnessing a great crusade on behalf by the President of the United States in behalf of a program that will round out Social Security, a program for national or for universal coverage of health care benefits. A week ago, I had the opportunity of participating and presiding over a program for Health Right. Health Right, for over a year, has had its cameras out in the 50 states of this union and in the District of Columbia, and they've been interviewing people in all walks of life about their views relative to national health care. Last week, they brought in one representative from each state and the District of Columbia, an older person, to present their testimony to the Speaker of the House, the Majority Leader of the House, and to the First Lady. And after the First Lady had had the opportunity of listening to some of those comments, she made a very eloquent address in behalf of an improved Medicare. Because we listened to testimony for a good part of the day, which emphasized the lack of prescription drugs, how much that meant to the people who were there, that they had to choose time and again between food and prescription drugs. That was a theme of the evidence presented by these witnesses. And I realized again how much it meant to have a president who is willing to lead a crusade for the improvement of Medicare. I had the opportunity of participating in the passage of Medicare. I'm delighted we got it, but from the beginning, we knew it needed to be improved. And we were advocating prescription drugs, long-term care, extended care. And here's a president who is urging the Congress of the United States to propose what we've been advocating. It seems to me as older persons, we should vigorously support the President in this effort, that the members of the House and the Senate should know that we want prescription drugs, long-term care, and extended care. This is our opportunity to participate in the greatest crusade of our lifetime. Of course, we're interested, very vitally interested, in universal coverage because we are interested in the welfare of our children, grandchildren, and grandchildren as older persons. And we're likewise interested in an improvement in Medicare. We can have it if we get back of this and tell our congressmen and senators that we want it, and we want it this year. There's been enough talk. We'd like action instead of talk. We'd like a plan. We'd like to put a plan on the books and to begin learning by doing. The talk has existed for a national health coverage for 60 years, to my knowledge. We talked about this plan and that plan and the other plan. But here's a Clinton plan that will achieve that particular goal. Let's get it on the books. I would like to recognize briefly the next speaker, because in my judgment, your senator started the crusade for national coverage of health benefits. Being one of our great leaders, we're deeply indebted to him for what he has done and for what he will do.
Do you know what an honor it is for me to be introduced by Arthur Fleming? You don't know not half of what he's done in that 60-year fight. You don't know 1/100th of what he's done in that 60-year fight. I've seen him in action in the 50s and 60s leading the crusade for civil rights. I've seen him fighting for health care now and long ago when he was with Harry Truman. You only see the tip of the iceberg of what Arthur Fleming has done. And to say he's an iceberg is nonsense, because he's got a heart so warm he'd melt any iceberg. Arthur Fleming, in your lifetime, and in your lifetime, and in the life of this Congress, this year, we're going to win that fight that you've been fighting for 60 years. And Mr. Vice President, we're going to win that fight not because we at last have a president, a first lady, we have a vice president who's here with us today, and Tipper Gore, fighting for it all out, and not just because we have a good congressional team from this state that's going to fight for it. You're fighting Congressman Tom Follietta. And my good fighting partner, Bob Boorstin. And Representative James fighting in Harrisburg. Congressman Lucian Blackwell, who's with us at the drugstore. We're going to win because people are speaking. You're speaking right now. You may not know you're speaking, but you're speaking right now. And as we came across the street, a man called out to me, and he spoke up. And he put it as well as anyone has put it today. And I'll run with it for a long time. He said, Senator, you tell Senator Specter and you tell all the rest of the politicians in Washington, let me tell you what we want is the kind of health insurance that the members of Congress have. That's what we want. After I got there, I said I'd put an end to the best of my ability of the free medical care members of Congress got, and we got that changed. The members of Congress now are in a federal employees plan that we pay our 20% for, but 9 million other federal employees have it, and it's an example of how we can get a choice of private health insurance for all Americans, and I think that's a good bottom line, and I heard it from the man out in the street, and that's why we're going to win this battle, because the people in the streets and in our neighborhoods and our homes and our senior citizen centers are going to speak and be heard. Now, on another point, Mr. Vice President, I want also to report to you that a few months ago I came to the Philadelphia Senior Center on South Broad Street in Center City to meet with retirees from the Unisys Corporation. These are retirees who had worked for decades every day, showed up for work, paid their taxes, paid their dues, often took lower wages because of the promise of retiree health care and other benefits, and then, like so many other people in this country today, just when they need it, after all these years of their lives given to those companies, they are finding that they've been left out in the cold by cutbacks in their retiree health benefits. Benefits they fought for, worked for, and were promised. And one recent study shows that 2/3 of American companies today are planning to reduce health care benefits or to cut them off altogether, because costs are out of control. But it's only going to get worse until we have in place a health care system that does guarantee affordable private insurance for every American, no matter where they live or work, no matter whether they are young or old, working or retired. And that has to be the #1 priority for action in the months ahead, to guarantee that kind of private health insurance that will also protect our choice of doctor and health care plan that's being taken away from us as things are going now, to stop the abuse by health insurance companies that, like the unfair exclusion for pre-existing conditions, to preserve Medicare and to have health benefits guaranteed at work, the way most working Americans get their health insurance today. Let's remember also that more than anyone else, older Americans depend on our healthcare system to maintain quality of life. I was reminded of that again a few weeks ago up at the Newman Senior Center in Northeast Philadelphia, where I heard the same stories older people and their families have told me all over this state, that they often have to choose between buying food and buying their prescription medicine. And some are forced to give up both their life savings and their dignity in order to pay the staggering cost of long-term nursing home care. Vice President Gore is here today, and we're all here today, to make at least one very important point, that we are fighting for a national health care plan that builds on what Pennsylvania has begun to pioneer with prescription drugs in the PACE program, and also with the home care, family home care program, which I've seen in action in many parts of Pennsylvania. But remember that Harry Truman was beaten in this fight 50 years ago because the special interests went to work. And this very day, millions of dollars are being spent in deceptive advertising, television ads from the Health Insurance Association of America. And we have some, fortunately not all, some of the Just Say No Republicans who are trying to tell Americans there is no health care crisis. Saying there is no health care crisis when single mothers on welfare are afraid to take the job training programs that have been developed in this state and work opportunities because they fear, rightly unfortunately too often, that the jobs they would take would leave their children and themselves with health care benefits that they get now by being on welfare and Medicaid. No health care crisis when early retirees are seeing their promised health benefits turn into broken promises. No health care crisis when millions of older citizens have to spend down their life savings in order to get help paying for the expensive long-term care. So, as Congress gets now down at long last to the business in the months ahead, as we get on with what you sent me down there to do, I hope that older Pennsylvanians, along with millions of other Pennsylvanians will become smart consumers, and that you will be skeptical of alternatives that claim to solve the problem, but which only tinker with the status quo. Ask whether the plan anyone is proposing protects Medicare and expands coverage for prescription drugs and at-home care. And ask whether it's a reform which guarantees all Americans the same benefits that members of Congress and 9 million other federal employees get now at work. The freedom to choose from a menu of affordable private health plans. Well, that is what I'm fighting for. That is what Al Gore is fighting for. And I've seen Al Gore since his sister helped found the Peace Corps in the 60s, and he was growing up into action. I've seen him as a leader of the Senate, and now, thank God, he is the Vice President of the United States, and he's here with us today. And we are going to fight for that till we win, but that is, to win that fight, you have to fight for it with us. And you are by your very presence here today. Mr. Vice President.
You've heard 3 pretty good speeches already. Aren't they great?
Yes.
And when Arthur Fleming said that Harris Wofford really began this nationwide struggle, he was right. And in a larger sense, Pennsylvania began this nationwide struggle by sending Harris Wofford to the United States Senate. And from the first day he arrived there, with your mandate, he began working to make certain that this issue went right at the top of the agenda. And he is as responsible as any other human being for the fact that we are this close in 1994 to passing comprehensive health care reform that can never be taken away. And Harris Wofford, I want to publicly thank you for your tireless labors. I want to join Senator Wofford in saying what an honor it is for me to appear on the same podium closely with Secretary Fleming, and it is really an honor to hear you speak. I think your speeches get better and better every single year, Mr. And, pardon me, gets younger. Well, Mr. Tom Ryan, thank you very much. CVS has been a leader in corporate America in promoting this reform package that is so good for our country. We were together in one of Tom's stores just before this event, and pharmacists have been extremely influential. And I think one of the reasons is they see it right on the front lines every day. And they know, for example, why a prescription drug benefit needs to be added to Medicare and why long-term care needs to get underway. I want to thank Dolores Racine here at the South Philadelphia Older Adult Center from the Advisory Committee, and the Center Director, Brian Serene. But I want to especially single out my friends and colleagues in the Congress. Representative Tom Follietta, in whose district we are located, who does a great job. Tom, thank you very much. Congressman Lucien Blackwell, my friend, who does a great job. Did he leave? Well, I told him I was going to brag on him, and he left here. He deserves to be bragged on. I'll just give a double measure to my friend Bob Boorstin. Stand up here, Bob. We're right close to your district. Thank you. And also State Representative Harold James. Thank you very much. Appreciate your leadership, sir. Well, it shouldn't be a partisan issue. I want to begin by saying that. We're not trying to make it a partisan issue. We've been reaching out to ask Republicans as well as Democrats to join in meeting the needs of this country. Others seem to want to make it a partisan issue. I hope they'll reconsider. And to those Republicans who are right now trying to make up their minds whether or not they want to be a part of this historic movement or whether they want to play politics with it, I would ask them to think back to what happened in the days Arthur Fleming recalled for us a few moments ago, when the great crusade was for Social Security. Some of you remember the political battles of those days when not a single Republican member of Congress was willing to vote for Social Security. It was a mistake on the substance, and ladies and gentlemen, it was a political mistake which has haunted the Republican Party for 2 generations. They ought to think twice before they repeat that mistake in trying to stand against the great crusade of this decade to get universal coverage with private health insurance that can never be taken away. Let's make it bipartisan. Let's support it for the United States of America. Now they try to say, some of the opponents try to say, there is no crisis. How can they say that? Haven't they looked into the eyes of a mother who cannot get health insurance because her child has a pre-existing condition? Have they somehow missed encountering all of the families that are in that situation? How can they say there's no crisis when they have to have known families that have lost their insurance simply because a member of the family has gotten sick? How can they say there's no crisis when there are so many small business people who have been forced to close their doors because they cannot afford health insurance, or have been forced to deprive their longtime employees of health coverage because the choice otherwise would be bankruptcy? How can they say there's no crisis when our nation is spending more than 14% of our gross domestic product on health care, while none of our competitors is spending as much as 10%, save Canada, which is spending 11%. How can they say there's no crisis when even after spending all of that money, we still have so many millions of Americans who have no insurance? Here is the crisis. Look at these figures. In any given year, at some point during the year, there are 58 million Americans who do not have any health insurance. Now that includes the ones that lose it, and then after a month or two, they figure out how to get some health insurance coverage. But they're at risk. And look, here is another part of the crisis. There are 81 million Americans with pre-existing conditions. Now, some of those with pre-existing conditions manage to get health insurance, but they live in fear of changing jobs because they know that they will very likely not be able to get health insurance at their new job that will cover that pre-existing condition. Or if they have a pre-existing condition, they may have health insurance that covers everything except what they need coverage on the most. That's evidence of a crisis. Look at this figure. There are 133 million Americans with lifetime limits on coverage. Some of you know what that means. If you have a condition that requires continual treatment, You and your families live in fear that as soon as you reach that lifetime limit, then you're out in the cold. That's evidence of a crisis, ladies and gentlemen, and they ought to understand that it is a crisis. Now, here are the three options we had to choose from. This is America's choice. We reject the option that says no guarantee of coverage. That's what we have now. It doesn't work. That's why we have a crisis. We also rejected the option of having the federal government run everything and have a government insurance program where the government is totally in charge. Instead, America's choice is guaranteed private insurance that can never be taken away. You choose your doctor. You choose your doctor. And don't let any of these critics and naysayers and stand-patters tell you otherwise. Under the President's plan, you choose your doctor. And you have the opportunity to choose the kind of health plan that you want. It can be a plan that lets you use any doctor or hospital that you want. Or it can be a plan that lets you use a network of doctors and hospitals. Or you can join an HMO. It is your choice. Employers won't pick your plan. You will pick your plan. And people who talk about limiting choice, the current healthcare system is taking choice away from Americans. Every single month, many more Americans are informed that they no longer have the ability to choose their doctor. The President's plan will allow you to choose your doctor and will protect their insurance the minute they get sick when they need the coverage the most. That ought to be illegal. And under the President's plan, it will be illegal. You will have coverage and you will choose. Now, speaking of insurance reform, this plan will not only make it illegal for insurers to drop coverage or to cut benefits right at the time when you need them the most, it will also make it illegal for insurance companies to increase your rates if you get sick. One of the reasons you pay for your insurance is so that it'll be there when you need it. Has anybody here had increased insurance rates as soon as you got sick? Could I see any hands if anybody has had that? Has anybody had their insurance rate go up when you got sick? Tell me about it. What happened to you, sir?
Well, it's now I've taken out insurance from Atlantic, Great Atlantic. Now, it goes to their doctor.
You don't get to pick your doctor. The insurance company picks the doctor. And when you got sick, they raised your rates. Well, we're going to make that illegal under the President's plan. We're going to make it, the President's plan will make it illegal to use lifetime limits to cut off your benefits. And look at this last point here. This is an important point. It will make it illegal for insurance companies to charge more to older Americans. That ought to be illegal, and under the President's plan, it will be illegal. I'll tell you what, if we do nothing, or even worse, if the Congress passes some plan that pretends to be reform but doesn't do anything, you will continue to be at the mercy of insurance companies, and you will continue to pay more and more and get less and less. Insurance ought to mean what it used to mean. No more fine print. Let's get rid of insurance coverage by fine print. That's what they do now. No more insurance company abuses. Now, here's the next point, and this is critical. The President's plan will preserve Medicare, will protect Medicare, will protect your choice of doctor, and will improve Medicare by covering prescription drugs and adding long-term care, beginning on long-term care. So important. Medicare works. Even if I didn't know that was true, I would dare say nothing else in the presence of Arthur Fleming. But Medicare does work, and we are going to protect it under the President's plan. I spoke earlier about the need for covering prescription drugs. That's critically important. And ladies and gentlemen, when prescription medicine is covered, it ends up saving on other health expenditures. You know from your own experience and from friends and family how frequently someone who skimps on prescription medication will end up in the hospital with much higher medical bills and much more serious treatments that could have been avoided if that person took his or her medicine the way the doctor prescribed it. And I don't need to tell you about how important it is to begin on long-term care. It is absolutely crucial. Now, the President's approach provides health benefits guaranteed at work. The employed are covered at work. Small businesses get discounts on insurance. They will not be discriminated against as they are now. And the unemployed will get help from the government. That is absolutely critical. Now, every job should come with health benefits. Most jobs provide health care benefits today, and yet 8 out of 10 Americans who have no insurance are in working families. We want everyone to have health benefits guaranteed at work. That is one of the keys to this plan. Now, let me summarize how the President's plan works. It is guaranteed private insurance that can never be taken away. It's for older Americans since Medicare was first created. It is time for us to make history again and to guarantee private insurance to every American. You can make the difference. If older Americans decide that now is the time, if older Americans decide to send a message to this country and to the politicians in both political parties that this year we must have guaranteed private insurance that can never be taken away, then that is what we will have. Let's fight together and let's get this done. Thank you very much for your help. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Mr. Vice President, happy birthday from everyone.
Oh my goodness, look at that. Did you all sign this? Oh, bless your hearts. Thank you so much. Look at that. Look at that. Isn't that great? That's wonderful. It says, happy birthday, Vice President Gore, and everybody here has signed it, and it's handmade. It's a beautiful job. Thank you so much. Who was the artist? Oh, thank you so much. Good job. Thank you. Thank you very much. Oh my goodness, and they've got Yeah.
Are we ready to sing? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear husband. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you so much. Okay, you'll have to help me blow it out. I bet you can guess what my wish is going to be. Help me blow it out.
Okay.
Thank you.
The baby boy is 46, that's it.
Please turn off.
Yes,
Oh, that's great. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I don't think so. Thank you.
I don't drive no more. I used to. I gave it up. I can't afford it. I might lose my house. 10 to 2. Well, it's quarter of 6.
Also, have you done the Yes. I know we put that in.
We have done that with the police department season. We might even try to
store without it. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay.
You'll hear from me in the next 2 days.
Okay.
Immediately after.
Thanks very much. All right.
Here for everybody.
Hey, thanks. Thanks. Yeah.
Thank God I reached it.
I'm a customer, so.
Okay, customers can always take pictures.
When I go next
Customers are the most nice meeting you.
But you didn't recognize me.
No, well, thanks.
Well, anyway, it was a pleasure.
Shop at CVS, I know you're a smart shop, right? I can tell.
Yes, we're in and out there.
Good.
Every day we go.
Good, good.
I have to go buy a car.
Make sure they take care of
They
it.
do, yes they do. Well, but I'll say I know you.
You tell you know me now.
Beautiful job. Maybe you'll be the president.
Today's your birthday? Happy birthday.
Hey, guess what? You might be the president next time. I'll say I was terrific.
That's right, you saw me. Thanks.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Nice
My
meeting you.
pleasure. Thank you.
Oh, President. Close to what you want. I think people can relate to that. Like the general floor program that has the coverage of any deductible, it's perfect. It's perfect. The government is 72%. Well, there you go. Okay.
Average.
Average 72. He did a small job today. He did.
Come by the store someday.
Okay, well,
Thanks for coming
you know
down.
what? We're going to have we have the DuPont Circa kickoff. We're going to bring a bunch of people over, Fryer and you.
How are you going to do that?
I want to say it's in May sometime. We're going to do a...
Good. Does this mean a new store, or you mean on this bill?
Well, right on the bill, and we use the store, but I mean...
What is it? What is the kickoff?
The kickoff is we redid DuPont Circle and brought it back to the original facade.
You mean your store there?
Our store there. It's a major store.
Yeah, no, I realize. I love it. I started DuPont Circle in my life in 1950 when I came to Washington.
Yeah, well, I remember Senator Pryor's wife said to me one time, she said, you got to take care of your homeless thing. I said, this is Pryor, they are homeless, they're not mine.
I said, well said.
Right, let's do something, but yeah, we'd love to have you there.
Good.
And we could use this as a forum.
I'll try to remember to send you a copy of my book that I wrote on the 16th.
Do that. Great. Okay, good luck.
Good.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, we'll do it. We'll do it.
That's
Appreciate it. Okay.
What's your family?
This is my family right here.
Good to see the president, or the vice president. Big thrill?
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Got the autograph, shook his hand. Yeah. Let's see the autograph. Perfect.
That's great.
Hi, how you doing?
Hey, Scott, let me ask you a question. I work for the PR firm that's working for CVS. Sure. You got a chance to speak to, to talk to the president or the vice president about, people who you deal with in the store. How rewarding was that for you?
All right. It was a great experience. We were able to talk about, one-to-one on what the real problems are. We see everybody right up front every day, so I think he got a better understanding of really what we deal with and how people's lives are affected.
You got a lot of older folks who come in there, and I mean, you were telling him earlier about some guys, or some folks don't take their prescriptions when they need to, or they're cutting it down in half. As a personal kind of thing, from your heart as a regular guy, how do you feel about that? You're trying to help these people.
Well, it's terrible. You find yourself sometimes you just want to go back and give everything away. You wish you could just make the aisles open and, you feel, people come in and you look at their faces sometimes and they're like in tears. They don't have the money, and if it's a difference between dinner or your health, there's really no choice.
What kind of things did you tell them? What's important for us to know about health care, about what we need in this, this health care plan?
Well, people need to be able to choose their doctor, choose their pharmacy. They need to be able to not have to worry about how they're going to pay for their medication. They need to know that if they need something, they can go and get it, and that it's okay. They don't have to be afraid that it's going to cost hundreds of dollars every month. And the role of the community pharmacy needs to be the same. We're up front with everybody. They come to us when they have questions and problems. So.
You see these folks are kind of your friends.
Sure, they trust you with everything. I mean, they ask.
You develop a rapport with them.
Oh, absolutely.
Tell me about the rapport you have with folks.
People come in and you become like a member of their family. They'll ask you anything, advice on this. Should I do this? What do you recommend? You know, every day you become so close to people. You know, you're like their best friend. They know they can always come into CVS and say, you know, I need to talk to you. There's a trust there that's incredible.
Okay, and your name is Scott? G-R-E-E-N-E?
Right.
How long have you been a pharmacist there?
About a year and a half.
Great. How were you picked to do it? You know?
I didn't know. I just found out the National Association of Chain Drug Stores had gotten a call, and they had recommended our pharmacy, and then Carlos Ortiz had recommended me, I guess, so that's why I'm here.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot.
Sure.
Nice job. Nice job. Very nice.
I see people cheer on the pharmacy when they said prescription drug coverage, and people know it. They just know it, and they know the job. Someone came up to me and said they hear pharmacy and they think of pharmaceuticals, managed care. You know, they think of pharmaceutical manufacturing, so they don't. She said it was important.
They don't understand the difference.
Yeah, it was important to understand community pharmacists. Community pharmacists are on the front line. She said, well, good point to bring up, you know.
Hopefully we did some good.
Yeah, we did. I think we did. Great. Super. All right. You don't have to work, eh?
No, I'm all set.
You got all the pieces. I don't know how to end it. It's just, I don't know, something about...
I mean, they'll let it down back at your place, Mr. Rowland.
Yeah, rolling, rock and roll.
Rock and roll.
It was, well, it was easy to say it because I was just speaking from the heart. As a pharmacist and speaking for our 3,000 pharmacists. It's the right thing to do for healthcare. Our people do it every day in and day out in all our stores. And I was proud to be a pharmacist today, and proud to be a pharmacist, proud to be part of our profession. So, and I'm certainly proud of the CVS pharmacists in the company.
The fact that you're a pharmacist is, you know, when you first got into it, I guess people get into that as a thing of doing good for people.
Yeah.
I mean, explain that a little bit. You know, I mean, it's an important thing to...
Well, I did that before. I've done it before. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't...
And my NCZ, it was a refill. Can I help you now?
She shoots pool? Yeah, they're doing it. Salt and pepper.
I know you come here all the time.
Okay. Forgot all about it. Where was he?
He's at that number. Okay. It's all done. Here, you're welcome. Bye-bye.
Can I have that one, please?
Okay.
Oh,
Out of Aldi's.
Yeah, put him in there.
Yeah, but she needs some for today, though. That's the thing. So just fill it and
Do what we did with that for party.
okay.
All right, that's cool. The bottle here? Stop.
I know. I don't know. All right.
Yeah,
just to have a
little B-roll of you norm.
Never had to do this on the
You
camera
do something
before.
fresh for us? You're doing pretty good, though.
Okay, and I'm rolling sound too, just so you guys
Okay,
know.
so you can't take them back? Okay, I guess patient call and tell her what's going on here.
Just call her or give it to her.
Okay.
What, Foreman or Bob? Just
Dixon. Yes, this is CVS Pharmacy. Okay. We don't know why it's too early.
go ahead, pretend like you're
Okay,
working.
because you got this back on the 6th,
Because
right?
it's motion pictures that
So
I'm...
this
Okay, I understand.
is what you got today. Your 25th day. If you got the 6th, okay, I have my little calendar out here. Okay, and it says 3/6, right? Okay, so
How many on
if you
this one,
count
Joe?
from
What's that? How many on this? What's wrong with this?
okay,
Doing it?
to today's date, the 31st. That comes out to 25 days. 31 minus 6 is 25. So,
Oh, my God.
yeah, why? I'm just trying to figure out, you know. Right.
$26.40.
Okay, whoever wants the mocktails and things, put up the money.
Right. Right. They want to hold you over to the next.
Mocktails here.
Right.
Did you put in your money? Dr. Sharp is on line 5 and waiting for...
Look at this. Look at this.
Take this shot right here.
Close up. There you go, right here.
Okay, don't talk. Just go ahead and...
Okay. What happened to this one? This one, it should be coming out. Oh, which two three? And isn't Unicena and Cena the same then, right? Don't leave. Just go, Eve. She's looking at him like, no, you know. Oh, I thought you were.
What kind of truck is this?
Is it a pharmacy? Can I help you? Okay, what's your last name again? Actually, hold on 1 second, I'll check for you. Line 5 is Dr. Sharp. Somebody has to get that down. Hello, can I help you? You're speaking to her.
How you doing, sir? Good.
Possibly could have been a colon.
But you don't know if it was Clark or Dennis?
It was probably Clark.
Darlene Clark?
Rosalie.
Oh, Rosalie.
Yeah. 15, 17 total. She looked in the book. 15, 15, 19. She looked in now. She was going to order. Maybe they called in by doctor. She just yelled while I was driving. She just yelled.
Okay, I don't check.
Go Bob, it ain't down.
Okay. Because I don't know. I have to look for it.
Okay, thank you.
2 minutes, okay? Okay. All right.
Okay, thanks. Hang on just a second.
I'm sorry to
Yeah, everybody in here. Everybody in. Guys, don't hide back there. Okay. No one in here. Come on, hurry up.
Lay across for
Hurry up.
We'll hold it. Pretend you're shopping.
Come on over on this side. Hurry up, people are dying because they can't get the prescription. Okay, great. Look right here. That go up? No, it didn't. Did it? Yeah, it went off. Okay, let's try it one more time. Okay. Come in a little bit closer. There we go. Sure. I know what that was.
Minton was from today. The other day.
Oh, okay.
The doctor called that in, sir. All right, wait a minute.
The president was here today. Or the vice president.
I see all the comments.
Now, I said to somebody in person, I'm going to CVS and get my medicine. And he said, oh, somebody got killed down there. It's all roached up. Yeah.
So I thought at first.
So.
Come here, mate.
Whoa.
Say hi, Mom. Say hi, Mom. Say hi, Mom. Say hi, Mom. Mommy's gonna see you on TV.
Destiny. Oh, sweetheart.
They canceling the customers. Where are you going? She don't want to be on camera. You don't want to be on TV?
Who doesn't want to be on TV? You ready? Hang on 1 second. Okay. Watch out for the cars. I don't want you guys to get killed.
still got two things to testify.
One way to do it, when your ideas are right. The main way we're going to do it is work together in Congress. On one of the committees, we're going to want our ideas very much. I've been, for months, agreeing that pressing for the streamlining of the bill has got a point. I spent a lot of time going over the House are here representing
I promise you guys.
Gilhart. Bill Gore would be
I'll be able to see your time go to the write it down.
Where are you at? I'll start at 0.
Hi. Hey there. What is it, buddy? How you feel? What do you want to do? Thank you.
Girl, sleep, I'm gonna be sick.
I'm telling you, you go down. To get
Is this your who's congressional? You everything you come
Well, Eric, where do I begin?
How can I die? Not to know where to begin.
It's terrible seeing that here.
They didn't change the ramblers.
We're late.
We're late.
12:05.
Oh, great. Have you been there? You know, I would be like, you really? It's great for
The two countries. Well, you almost have that. You don't speak Gaelic, I don't think, but you speak Irish.
There's some Spanish,
Yes, it is 5.
You know, I just learned this the other day.
Yeah.
Go with mine.
You left it on.
I shot at minute 12. Go with mine. I don't.
You've got quite a line of products here. Yeah. Is that right? I think I may need some of this. Yeah. I bet you sell a lot of this stuff, don't you? Is that scientifically sound?
Scientifically sound.
Is it?
I'll take it. You bet.
Do you?
Almost.
Well, thanks. Okay. Hello. Hi, how are you all? Thank you. Thank you. How are you doing? Nice to see you. Fine. How are you, sir? Good. Look forward to talking with you. How are you? Hi. Nice to see you. I got it.
I will.
We all spoke earlier, but we'll shake on camera, right, Mayor? Okay. Your district, Lucian, not far from yours. Okay, thank you. Whoops.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank all of you for joining in this discussion today. And Scott, I'd like to begin with a conversation with you. I want to thank you for hosting us today, and Tom, thank you for all the support that your company has provided to the nation's effort to think its way through this challenge of how to have health care reform. Scott, as a pharmacist, you are really a frontline health care provider. I talk to a lot of Americans all over this country who tell me that they get as much good, reliable information about what's going on with their health care from pharmacists as from anybody else. What kind of experiences have you had in talking with your customers about the problems they're experiencing with health care?
Well, we see people who, they come in with questions when they leave their physician. They're unsure of what really the problem is and why they're taking certain medications. People that come in, you know, they have questions about over-the-counter products. Everybody has, you know, something wrong, and we're always here to help them. And then we get the side from the people where they are, you know, they're having financial problems, and they might get a prescription that's $100 a month, and they don't really have means to, you know, pay for it.
And I guess you have plenty of chances to talk with them about the changes they'd like to see, what sorts of improvements they'd like to see in the healthcare system.
Yeah, we have many, you know, senior citizens who come here and they'd like to find a way that they could come in and get the appropriate medication they need and not have to, you know, take other parts of their lives, you know, not have other parts of their lives be affected because they need medications to keep themselves healthy.
Do you have some customers who come in and need medication, it's been prescribed by the doctor, and yet for financial reasons they just don't feel they can afford it, or they try to get a substitute or make do with something less than they should have?
Yeah, that happens all the time. We have people who will come in and they're supposed to get a month's supply of their medicine. They might just get a couple days at a time. Or they're supposed to take their medicine twice a day, and because of the money, they take it once a day. So their compliance with their medication isn't really the way it should be to keep them healthy and out of the hospital.
And of course, the doses prescribed by doctors are not supposed to be skimped on. They're put that way for a reason, as I'm sure you tell them.
You're supposed to do, you know, exactly how the patient goes.
And if you don't, then you can end up in the hospital with worse health problems and more expensive medical bills, correct?
There are a lot of people who, you know, their hospital visit is because they're not compliant with their medicine.
Yeah.
That's the sole reason that they're readmitted to a hospital.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk some more about it, but let me acknowledge first of all Governor Bob Casey, who is here, and thank you, Governor, and Senator Harris Wofford, who has, on behalf of Pennsylvania, been leading the charge in the United States Senate for health care since the people of this state sent a wake-up call to the country about health care coverage. And Congressman Tom Follietta, we're in your district, Tom, and happy to be here. And Congressman Lucian Nedzi, my longtime friend, Congressman Bob Boorstin. We're not very far from either of your districts, I understand. And we're very happy. I'm very happy that we are joined by some of Scott's customers who have agreed to come and talk with us. And first of all, if I could introduce Al and Angelina Nicotra. Did I pronounce your name right?
Right.
That's Al and Angelina. Got it. Tell me about what you have experienced.
Well, I've got a problem here because I'm sick. He's sick. I need a lot of medicine. He need a lot of medicine. I'm got to take a little pension. And the pension I got enough. So many times I can buy the medicine what I need it because I don't got money. I don't got enough. I got to stay, you know, I got to suffer because, you know, I don't got this medicine, you know. That's why I told you, you know, somebody got to help me to the medicine because it's really I need it.
Yes.
You know. Now, I can explain it right because I don't speak too good English.
You speak great English.
I don't think so. It's just a little bit, you know. Because so many times I got to go a lot of time in the hospital. A lot of time I need the medicine. A lot of time he's in the hospital. Now he's in diabetic. I need the medicine for the diabetic. I need the meal. I need the insurance. The glucose don't help me. The Medicare don't help me.
Yes. Well, now let me see if I understand what your situation is. both of you are just past 65, correct?
Yes.
And you are retired, Al. Is that?
66.
You're 67, and you're retired, and you have a health care plan that is financed through your union. Is that right? Through your union retirement?
Yeah, I got the union. Give us some, you know, I got it on there, $100. That's it.
But prescription medicine is not covered under your plan, right?
I got to take with insurance, the plan H, because I have a little bit to the medicine. I don't got enough of it, because I'm got to pay $117 a month just to cover this, you know, this little medicine. I can't.
I understand, but let me get the basics down. You've got a health care plan that doesn't cover prescription medicine. You are covered through your business, but it's only partial coverage of prescription medicine, and as a result, you have to pay a lot of money out of your own pocketbook for medicine that really ought to be covered under a good health care plan. Now, not too long ago, you all were involved in an automobile accident, is that right? And no? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I'll get to that then. But both of you require medication, correct? You both have prescriptions.
Prescription every day. You must take a cholesterol, the high and blood.
For high cholesterol and for high blood pressure.
After the insulin, after the diabetes.
And insulin for diabetes.
Medicine are covered, and I give me nothing wrong.
Have you been paying more and more out of your own pocket for medicine?
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm paying more than $200, $250 a month of the medicine.
Do you come and get it from Scott?
Yeah.
Tell us about it, Scott.
Sure, they you know, they have a lot of the health problems that the older Americans have. I have a great example that they brought in today. She has a medication that she's supposed to take for some stomach problems. Very expensive, you know, close to $100 a month. And what she does, because she can't afford to get her medicine the way she's supposed to, she comes in and she gets a smaller quantity, doesn't take it correctly, and then she subsidizes with over-the-counter products, which don't do what they're supposed to. They together they spend, you know, almost $500 a month on prescription medicines. That's all out of pocket.
Well, under the President's health care plan, prescription medicine will be covered. Will be added to Medicare, and there will be a deductible, and then 80% of your expenses will be covered up to $1,000 a year, and then everything above that. So this is a tremendous improvement that is greatly needed, and especially for seniors, because older Americans, on average, spend much more of their health care bill on prescription medicine than younger Americans. And when they're not able to get the prescription medicine they need, when they try to skimp on it and cut corners from the doctor's prescription, then that increases hospitalization and it increases the nation's health care bill. Study after study has shown that it is not only a false saving to try to skimp on prescription medicine, it ends up costing a lot more because you have people going into the hospital more often. And so following your doctor's prescription and taking prescription medicine properly is a way not only to protect your health, but also to keep medical bills down. So thank you for talking about this here today. Now let me also introduce Domenico Longo and his daughter Lisa Russo. And thank you both for coming. And Lisa, I think you are going to tell us a little bit about what your dad has been going through, correct?
Yes. When my dad retired about 12 years ago, my mother was dropped from his insurance because of her age. Since then,
No, now wait a minute, hold on a second. She had health insurance.
Yes, while my father was still working.
Yeah.
But when he retired, or he had to retire because he had a fall,
Right.
and he was also of retiring age at the time, so he could not go back, she was dropped from his insurance.
Because of her age?
Because of her age. She's 17 years younger than he is.
I see.
And they've been married 40 years this year.
Uh-huh.
But throughout those years, she's had to pick up her own insurance, where she would have had prescription drugs available to her under his insurance at that time. When Dad retired, he was under Medicare, and that does not pick up prescription drugs. They also, I believe, this year or last year, they've given him Blue Cross and Blue Shield, but he also pays for that. $20 each month of his pension check goes into that, for that.
Well, how does he cope?
Well, my sister and my brother and I assist most of the time. They were involved in an auto accident over the summer in August.
That's right, both of them, and that
Yes.
increased their need for
Yes.
prescription medicine,
Yes,
correct?
because my mother became brain injured, and
I'm sorry.
so my mom got the worst brunt of it. Dad, is recovering with the rest of the members, and so each month, at different periods during the month, they are hit with high costly bills.
And what do you do? The whole family pitches in? Is that?
Well, we help each other out. Dad has a pension. He also does have a rental property as extra income, which is the reason why my mother was also able to stay home and raise us rather than go to work. But that still doesn't help out.
And
we have to assist my mother because we can't afford to hire someone 24 hours. We have to, do all the things that are necessary for her injuries since her discharge from the hospitals and rehabilitation places that she's been in.
Well, Scott, tell us what it looks like here on the front lines with this family.
Well, they have a situation where they had, the common older people kind of illnesses, and they had their accident. Now they have a situation where they need numerous medications. They have the whole family's involved. The kids are living at home, trying to help, and Mr. Longo comes in, and it's, you can tell just by the look on his face that every day it's a challenge.
So it would be a great relief to you, Mr. Longo, and to your whole family to have coverage of prescription medicine, so that your family would be able to have some peace of mind about you and your wife getting the health care needed. And I'll let Lisa respond for you.
Yes, it would help us. We don't live in the same household. We live nearby, but we are there constantly.
One of you is there all the time.
We're all pitching in. We all help that way. But not everyone can be in that situation. There are a lot of people that work. I'm a homemaker at this time, at this point in my life. I was working before that, but I'm able to do this right now. I don't know what's going to happen with me also.
Well, one of the things that the President's health care plan is designed to do is to eliminate that uncertainty and to give health care coverage that can never be taken away. Health care coverage that covers what needs to be covered, such as prescription medicine. It protects Medicare and improves Medicare by adding this prescription medicine benefit and by starting a system of long-term care, which is also greatly needed by older Americans. This plan is receiving growing support. The closer it is studied and the closer the alternatives are studied, the more and more Americans come to the conclusion that now is the time. We've waited 60 years. The nation's health care bill has been increasing, even as millions and tens of millions of Americans have been forced to go without any health insurance and millions of older Americans have been denied the prescription medicines that they need to maintain their health, and now is the time to do something about it. This plan is gaining momentum. The key health subcommittee in the House of Representatives just passed a plan with 85% of what we've been pushing for in the administration. There is a growing consensus, as Senator Wofford can tell you, in the United States Senate, and we're very, very optimistic. But what we've got to do is to keep the focus on why this is so necessary. And these two families have put that focus in the proper place here today. And I really want to thank you very much for sharing in this discussion. And Scott, to you and Tom, and to all the other pharmacists around this country who are right on the front lines, who are dealing with families like these every single day and seeing firsthand why we need health care reform in America, I want to express our thanks. You all do a wonderful job in helping Americans to protect their health, and now you're doing a great job in helping Americans get the kind of legislative changes that we need.
Mr. Vice President, across town,
Let me just say, hold on one second, would you? I wanted to ask Mr. Ryan to say something.
Sure.
I'd just like to say, as the Community Pharmacy Coalition of pharmacists, 62,000 community pharmacies around the country, we are solidly behind President Clinton's plan, the administration's plan. As pharmacists, we've known for a long time that prescription medication is cost effective, and covering prescription medication for senior citizens who take on average 4 to 5 times more than the average citizen is extremely important to the quality of health care in this country. And we applaud your efforts, and anything we can do to help, we certainly will. Because as you said, there's hundreds and hundreds of these stories every day.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am.
Because across town, Senator Specter's having a press conference in which he says that your plan is too costly. It'd be too costly to create, he says, 150 new bureaucratic agencies, and that consumers will lose their right to choose their health care provider. He, of course, is pushing SB 18, which he's sponsoring, which he says retains the current system, which most people are happy with, while ensuring those who are not insured and providing some affordability. What's your response to his complaints about the president's plan?
Well, let me just ask these two families: are you happy with the health care system that we have now, or do we need changes?
No. Of course,
we need changes, don't we?
We need changes. Sure, because I want somebody happy. You gotta happy me, I don't.
Yeah.
What?
Are you happy with the health care plan?
No, we're not.
We need changes.
We
Well,
need changes.
that's really what the citizens of Philadelphia and the citizens of Pennsylvania are saying. You know, I don't want to get into a back and forth with Senator Specter. I'll just say this: the famous chart that he prepared, which was used to such spectacular effect by Senator Dole on nationwide television, is extremely misleading. And you don't have to take my word for it. There are hundreds of people who have taken the time to look at it, and it's just bogus. I'll give you a few examples. The president's plan calls for additional research funding for breast cancer, additional research funding for Alzheimer's. Well, Senator Specter makes that a box on his chart. Does that mean he's against more research for Alzheimer's disease to try to find a cure? It's as if every time he saw a sentence or an idea, he put a box around it, and the result is just bogus and extremely misleading. And you know, beyond that, we have to find a way to move beyond partisan politics. Americans are tired of seeing health care made into a political football for short-term partisan gain. That's really not what it's about. What it's about is the kind of leadership that Senator Wofford has been providing, in focusing the attention of the country on the goals that we've got to reach. Healthcare reform, a system that provides health coverage to Americans that can never be taken away. When somebody says we don't need any changes in our health care plan, I just wish they could tell that to these two families and understand the response. I wish they could talk, as I have, with families who have been cut off their health insurance just because they got sick at the time when they needed it the most. I wish they could talk to families who are denied insurance because a child has a pre-existing medical condition, or to a small business owner whose insurance rates are many times higher than the rates paid by a large corporate competitor. These are all reasons why we have to have careful, prudent, sensible, but sweeping healthcare reform in America based on the competitive model, not a government-run model that guarantees insurance, private health insurance that can never be taken away.
Will 150 new bureaucratic agencies be created through the plan, though?
No, that's simply bogus.
Mr. Vice President, 4 out of every 10 spinal cord injury victims that are now coming to our regional spinal cord injury center are sent there by gunshot wounds, other kinds of violent attacks, and they need a lot of long-term care. Right now, insurance is not, it's like a revolving door. How would the President's plan address that?
Well, that's an excellent example. Let me say, before I talk about the health care plan, that we've got to take more strenuous measures to prevent this epidemic of gunshot wounds and to stop the epidemic of violent crime. We're pushing a tough and smart crime bill that will put an extra 100,000 police officers on the streets, narcotics, and the other causes of violent crime. Now, specifically in response to your question, the present system discriminates against home-based care and the kinds of treatments that can actually produce often better medical results, while when they can't get coverage for home-based care, more than 50% of the people who show up in emergency rooms are not there for emergencies. They're there because it's their point of entry into the healthcare system that we have today. We're trying to reform it and to change it. And we're gaining momentum thanks to the hard work and the commitment of individual families who are willing to speak out like these families have here today.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all very much, and I'll see some of you at the next event. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you so much. God bless. Thank you, sir. Thank you. God bless. Lisa, thank you. You're very eloquent. Appreciate your help.
Could somebody unplug the brown one? Did you guys find out? That's why we're getting more. Here, you can just out.
I got a lot of
Thank you very much. Thank you. Good luck. Thank you very much.
Thomas Ryan.
Okay, and you are?
President and CEO of CVS Pharmacy.
Which is a national company, right?
National, 1,300 stores in 14 states.
Okay.
From Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. We own CVS and People's Drug in Washington.
Oh, you own People's too?
Yes.
Okay.
I gotta go with her.
Thank you.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Vice President of the United States, Al Gore, Senator Harris Rawford, and Tom Ryan.
They left you? Oh, you got it.
No, it looks like a terrific Hey, Bob.
Right here.
Oh, my hey, look at that. We can walk over. So much. Isn't that sweet? This card here also for you. Thank you very much. I'll be doggone. Let's get a good one.
Yeah, get to the name, guys.
Oh,
You guys into the pinned area. Middle area right there.
What he said was for the plan that you and Senator Spector
There's no inflation. The economic growth is coming along on track. It's in good shape. The market always overreacts one way or another.
Yeah, the whole country. Go get them out. Go get them.
Thank y'all.
Here he comes.
How you guys doing? What's up, well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Hi, how are you?
My name is Jennifer Chow from you.
Nice to see you.
I want to talk to you about tuition.
Hi, how are you? Okay, I'll watch for it.
Prescriptions now.
Yeah, we're gonna. We were just talking about that. That's right. How you doing? Fine. Good to see you. Hey. How are you? Yes, officer. Thank you. Yes, sir. Yeah. We're going to save money. The country's going to save money.
Thank you.
We're going to cut the waste.
It's all the drugstores in the country.
We will.
You're going to help us out and protect us.
We will.
You better.
I will. I promise. We'll just help.
I know.
But on. Got the heavy guns behind you. Look at him. There's four yet. I want you to be going to buy you.
Get it over there,
Well, the President's health care plan puts more money into the health care education institutions. And we're going to have to change that and improve it in the President's plan. Need your help. Yes, indeed. Yeah, well, we're putting more of the emphasis on primary care.
Thank you very much.
Hi, thank you.
Wait.
Thank you. Rick. Thank you, sir. Thank you. All right, here we go. We got it. Good. All right. Yeah, he got it.
Are you better one-on-one than running against Trump? Yes, I'm running against Trump.
Hi, how are you?
Hey. How you doing? Show you earlier.
Hey, we spoke before.
Yeah, we're sure you did.
Thank you. Thanks again. All right. Good to see y'all. Good to see you. Take it easy now. Thank you. Thank you. There you go. Okay.
It's just like... There you go.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, thank you.
Thank you very much, Vice
I worked here 10 years.
Vice President, I said to South Philadelphia was notified, but he's hoping this way, expensive go,
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. His message, I know that was saying with the president's care, a message will be senior citizens, Map 45 between expensive drugs. Yeah, that's today. Wait, tell us
Now we can start.
The reason this has been so screwed up?
I'm here by intention. How you doing, man? Good. Lee.
Where you guys been hiding? Here. Here? There's 14 people in this room that have already switched to Republican.
I know they haven't had lunch yet. Hey,